Dividing is multiplying, but backwards. If you've mostly used a calculator for your multiplication, division is going to be harder for you, as you're not familiar with the patterns that numbers make, and division relies heavily on those patterns. Let's see what we can do to make division easier. When I learned division, I learned long division. Recently, I found a number of students that were never taught long division. So I'll do some real quick to show how it's done, and serve as a reminder to people who've spent a lot of time using calculators. Let's divide 2580 by 12. I remember which goes where by using the mnemonic. The guy on the top goes into the house, where the guy on the bottom stands guard outside. We have 2 digits on the guy outside, so we get the first 2 digits of the number inside. We find that 12 goes into 25 2 times, so we write the 2 above the 5. We multiply 2 times 12 and subtract that from 25, getting 1 left over. We then bring down the 8. 12 goes into 18 once, so we put 1 above the 8 and subtract 12 from 18 to get 6. We then bring down the 0. 12 goes into 60 5 times, so we write a 5 above the 0, and we have our answer of 215. When I teach class, I'm often asked how I know what number to pick. Let's explore that before we go into ways of making specific cases easier. If I divide 246 by 82, I start by looking at the 8 and the 24. If you've done a lot of multiplying without using a calculator, or you have the multiplication tables memorized, you know that 8 times 3 is 24. We then multiply 2 times 3 to get 6, and see that that's the right number. So our answer is 3. However, what if we're dividing 245 by 82? We still get the same answers, but since 5 is less than 6, we know that 3 is too high, and we need 2. Since it's only 1 too small, and that's a tiny part of 82, we automatically know that the next number in the answer is 9. So the answer is 2.9 something. Another way we can get the number we need is to start with 5 and then go higher or lower. For example, 832 divided by 13. Looking at the 1 on the outside and the 8 on the inside, we may initially want to pick 8. However, we know 8 is too big because 8 times 3 is 24, and that's going to put us way over. We could start there and keep subtracting 13s, or we could start at 5 and see if it's too high or too low. 5s are easy because we just cut in half and multiply by 10. So 5 times 13 is 65. 83 minus 65 is 18. We can see that 13 will go in there once, so the number we need is 6. We subtract off an additional 13 and have 5 left over. We put a 6 on the top and a 5 in the tens column, and we bring down the 2. Now we're dividing 52 by 13. We can look at that 5 again and see that it's now too big. We subtract off a 13, so now we have 4. 4 times 13 is 42. So our answer is 64. While this can help us make long division easier, it isn't easy enough to do in your head. Let's look at things that we can do that will solve things that we can do in our head. One way to simplify division is to do the division in parts. 56 divided by 2 is the same as 50 divided by 2 plus 6 divided by 2. 50 divided by 2 is 25, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 56 divided by 2 is 28. Dividing by parts can be done with numbers other than 2 as well. If we divide 72 by 3, we change 72 into 60 plus 12 to get 24. I got the 60 and the 12 by seeing that the 3 would go into 7 2 times, which would give us the 60. And the 12 is everything left over. 60 divided by 3 is 20, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So the answer is 24. This is actually the same method that we use with long division. We divide things in half a lot. This is easy if the numbers are even, but what happens if there's a bunch of odd numbers involved? For example, 9. We can use parts to handle this as well. First, we subtract 1 to make the number even. 9 equals 8 plus 1. Then we split the parts. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 1 divided by 2 is a half. So 9 divided by 2 is 4 1/2. In fact, now we know that 1/2 is 0.5, we don't have to do that part anymore. we just subtract the 1 and tack on the 0.5 at the end. For example, let's look at 17 divided by 2. 17 minus 1 is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Now we just tack on the 1/2 to get 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. Now let's look at even bigger numbers. This can require us to carry backwards. Let's look at a real ugly one to see how it works. What is 937 divided by 2? Again, we split it into parts. 9 divided by 2 is 8 divided by 2 plus 0.5. So the hundredths digit is 4. We hold on to that 0.5 and apply it as a 5 to the next value. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. We add the 5 to the 1 and get the tens position is 6. We hold on to that 0.5 again. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. We add the 0.5 from the tens as 5 ones. 3 plus 5 is 8. So that makes 937 divided by 2, 468.5. Now it's your turn. Divide 377 by 2. Stop the video and do the problem. Three divided by 2 is 1.5, so we have 1 in the hundreds place. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. Adding the 5 from the hundreds place, we have 8 in the tens place. Since the ones are the same as the tens, they're both 7, we can just use the same result a second time. 377 divided by 2 is 188.5. Now that we can divide by 2, let's look at other numbers. It's always best to work with the smallest numbers possible. In some cases, we can simplify by taking numbers out of both the numerator and the denominator. If we can get a 1 in the denominator, the number in the numerator is our answer. Let's divide 24,720 by 120. We can start by dividing the top and bottom numbers by 10 to get 2,472 divided by 12. Now we can divide both by 2, so we have 1,236 divided by 6. We can divide both by 2 again and have 618 divided by 3. We can see the top number contains 6 and 18. Both have 3 as a factor. 6 divided by 3 gives us a 2. 18 divided by 3 gives us 6. We have to be careful to keep the columns when we combine the numbers. The 6 in the ones is in the ones column, so we need a 0 in the tens, making the answer 206. So 24,720 divided by 120 is 206. Your turn. Pause the video and divide 182 by 14. We can take 2 out of both 182 and 14, and that gives us 91 divided by 7. 7 is a prime number, which means we can only get it by multiplying 7 times 1. So the question becomes, can we take a 7 out of 91? We want to split the 91 into numbers divisible by 7. I see that 7 goes into 9 once. So we make the first number 70 and put the rest above 7. 91 minus 70 is 21. 21 is 3 times 7. So our answer is 10 from the 70 divided by 7 plus 3 from 21 divided by 7. That's 13. 182 divided by 14 is 13. While all the examples have divided out evenly, that's not always true. The simplest way to handle remainders is to make a fraction out of them. For example, 248 divided by 3 gives us 82 with 2 left over. We put the 2 over the 3. Is this fractions or division? Actually, it's both. Fractions are division. Seeing that it's a fraction, we can treat it like one and simplify 2/3 to 0.6666. So the answer is 82.666. If you don't have 2/3 equals 0.666, you can find that by dividing 2 by 3. Since we've covered both adding and dividing, it's time for averages.